What's up guys, Miles here with 95Mac, and if you're a fan of good ideas, be sure to subscribe to the channel for future content like this. Today we have our long-awaited OS Ventura beta walkthrough. I wanted to wait to do this until we got a few betas in so a lot of the major kinks and problems could be worked out, but we're definitely at the point where we can show off all the new major changes and features, so let's do that now. But first, a word from our sponsor. 95Mac on YouTube is sponsored by Mac Stadium. If you're an enterprise user, developer, or Apple software enthusiast, you may be aware of Mac Stadium, which has been a leading innovator in the enterprise sector for a long time. Mac Stadium offers an assortment of cloud-based software solutions for your Mac-oriented business. Firstly, you've got Mac Stadium's Orca, which is the only virtualization layer available for Mac-built infrastructure based on Docker and Kubernetes technology. You've also got Virtual Command, which enables high-performance desktop access to cloud-based macOS resources through a browser on any device. Be sure to check out the link in the description below to check out Mac Stadium, and a big thanks to Mac Stadium for sponsoring 9to5Mac on YouTube. So we're starting things off with Mail, as there are a handful of really useful features and changes that have been added, and that's the first thing you're going to see when you open up Mail for the first time in OS Ventura, just giving you a brief preview of what's to come. One of the first new features is Smart Search Corrections, which is simply going to correct your typos within the mailbox search and give you results based on what it thinks you more likely are trying to search for. So if I type in iPhone here, but with the wrong letter spelled at the end, it's going to give me results with the word properly spelled. And the same thing here again, if I type in YouTube incorrectly, it's going to give me results based on how the word is supposed to be spelled. So a very simple but effective way to get much better search results within the mailbox. And Smart Search Suggestions now gives you a richer view of shared content and more from the search menu. Schedule Send is honestly a no-brainer feature that honestly should have been added to Mail a while ago, but we've got it now. So whenever I want to send a message at a later date or at a specific date in the future, you just have to hit the little arrow icon next to the send button and it'll give you a few default options like sending at 9 p.m. tonight or the next day. But if you want to choose a more specific date, you're able to do so and choose the exact time when that email is sent down to the minute. And once that email is scheduled, it'll be moved to the Send Later tab where you can go in and reference it again and even change the date that it's supposed to be scheduled if that's what you'd like to do. And if you find yourself needing to undo a message that you're trying to send, you can now do that as well. So when I hit send here, an option will pop up in the corner to hit undo. I click that and it'll bring me right back to the message. Another handy feature being added to Mail is Remind Me. So you're able to click on any email that you opened up but haven't replied to, and you'll get an option to do Remind Me in an hour, tonight, tomorrow, or at a specific date of your choosing. Rich Links is a new feature that gives your email messages a bit more context at a glance. So when a link is pasted into the message field here, it's not going to be just a standard link or plain text. It's going to give you a little preview of what the website is about, showing you the favicon and the website title. But as you can see here, if you want to convert it back to plain text, I can easily click on the little button in the corner and do so. The first new handy feature in Spotlight is being able to preview files with quick look. So when I typed in horse here, it gave me an image based on it being able to detect horse through live text within the photo. And I'm able to hit the spacebar and quickly preview the file. And that's just a super useful thing to be able to have. And in general, Spotlight has just gotten a huge overhaul in just how much more comprehensive it is, how much more information it can give you based on a single word search. So when I type in Fuse here, it's giving me files, it's giving me music suggestions, giving me documents, suggestions, it's giving me mail and messages suggestions, pretty much everything it could possibly find related to this word or search term, including its relevance to you. And that includes searching up images from the web based on whatever you type in Spotlight. So like I said, it not only gives you results based on photos from applications you have, but it's going to give you straight up Google image search results based on what you typed in. Another handy feature is quick actions from Spotlight. You're now able to do things like set timers or set certain focus modes, all from the Spotlight search. So if I type in timer here, it'll give me an option to set a timer straight from the macOS clock application. Or if I type in do not disturb here, it'll give me an option to enable my do not disturb focus mode. And it certainly isn't faster to enable a focus mode by doing it this way, but you've now got the option if you'd like to. One of the primary things coming to Safari in this update are new tab group features. Firstly, being able to now share tab groups. So if I click on the little menu button and hit share tab group, I can send an invitation off via messages and then allow people to contribute to this tab group that I've created. And you can now customize your individual tab groups and their start pages. So each individual tab group can have its own favorites and background image. And that makes it even easier for distinguishing them. You're now also able to pin tabs within tab groups. So if I select on a certain tab within my tab group, right click it, hit pin, it will now be permanently pinned to the tab until I choose to unpin it. Safari in macOS 13 now also comes with extension syncing. So if I install a Safari extension on another device like my iPhone or iPad, when I go into the extensions menu on a macOS product running Ventura, of course, you'll see the option to install that extension. It won't be installed by default, but you'll see a menu saying on other devices, and you'll have the option to quickly install it right from that menu. For whatever reason, Apple references this as being a Safari feature, but you're now able to look at all the Wi-Fi passwords you have for saved networks that you've been connected to in the system settings menu. So I've got all these Wi-Fi networks here, and I'm able to copy the password, remove it from a list, and being able to copy the password was definitely not an option we had before. Safari now also lets you sync your web page settings across all of your different devices. So if you're 1000% zoomed in on another device, it'll take a second, but it'll then be updated across all of your devices with that same web page open. Safari's had the ability to suggest strong passwords for you for a while now, but now you're able to edit suggested strong passwords. So now when you click on the suggested strong passwords and hit the other options button, you'll see an option to edit strong password, which will allow you to change the password however you'd like or however you need to based on the website's requirements. Now Safari can also utilize live text to be able to identify foreign text within an image and allow you to translate it if you'd like. As you can see in the example here, it's not perfect as far as its ability to perfectly translate the text or identify what the foreign text is, but I think it's a start, and I think having this feature is going to allow for some really useful stuff. Outside of new web extension APIs and additional web technology support, that's pretty much it as far as major features and changes for Safari goes, and I'm pretty much a big fan of all of them so far. Messages have gotten a bunch of new useful features and changes, but one of the first ones is being able to collaborate with people via an invitation through iMessage. So I can copy these collaboration invites as a link from whatever app I'm getting it from, in this case it being Safari, and shoot them off in messages in the form of an invitation. But arguably the two biggest features coming to messages is the ability to edit messages and undo sending of a messages up to 15 minutes after sending it. So as you can see, I just sent a message, and if I right click it, I can hit edit and then change the message to whatever I want. And when doing so, as long as the other person is on macOS Ventura or iOS 16 or iPadOS 16, they'll be able to see that the message was edited as well. So there's no way to edit a message without the person being notified of that or being able to see it. And then when you're within the 15-minute limit, if you want to undo send, you can just hit undo send and the message will disappear with a fancy animation to follow. And of course, if that recipient is running macOS Ventura or iPad or iOS 16 or later, they'll be able to see that the message was unsent. You're also now able to mark messages as unread. So if you right click on a recipient within iMessage, you hit the mark as unread button and you'll see the blue icon that symbolizes a message being unread reappear next to that recipient. And lastly, we've now got the ability to do share play invitations via iMessage. So as you can see here, I've got a Spotify link that I've sent to someone, and if I hit join, it'll open up Spotify automatically. The iCloud Shared Photo Library feature is a new Photos app feature allowing you to share a separate iCloud photo library with up to 5 other people. And you can fill this iCloud library with brand new photos that you've never taken before, but you can also include existing photos from libraries that you already have. And everyone collaborating on this shared photo library has equal permissions to add, edit, favorite, caption, and delete photos. You've got smart setup rules, which allows you to not only share all your past photos, but use specific setup tools to contribute photos based on certain dates or by certain people. So it's a pretty comprehensive feature overall. Stage Manager is Apple's attempt to autonomously manage windows for every application that you've got open. So once you've got the Ventura beta running on your Mac, the first thing you're going to want to do is go over to the Control Center, and you'll see an option to enable or disable Stage Manager. And you'll also see an option to either show or hide recent apps. And this is basically just going to show your recent applications on the side as a part of Stage Manager. But if you don't want to see them, you can simply disable that. But if you do have show recent apps enabled, the very first thing you'll notice when enabling Stage Manager is that your recent apps that you've used will appear on the left side of the UI, and all of your mounted drives and folders on the desktop will disappear. Not that they're actually gone, but you just won't see them when Stage Manager is enabled. So the way Stage Manager works is you have your center app, which is whatever app you're working on and using at the time, and then you have access to all of your other recent applications on a window on the side. And if you decide to do a legitimate full screen by hitting the green button, then you'll lose access to those applications on the side effectively. But if you simply drag out a window to reach its maximum screen real estate on your display, you'll still have access to those applications. They'll just be hidden, and you'll have to gesture over to the left side to see them. And as I open up more applications, you'll see the recent apps menu begin to populate until we reach a maximum of 6 applications on the side, and that's because that's as many as you can have displaying on the recent apps menu at a time. And as you select different applications in the recent apps menu in Stage Manager, you'll see the applications kind of be shuffled around. And currently there's no way to manually change or reorder the recent apps that you see on the side, so if you click and drag and try to reorder them or shuffle them around, nothing is going to happen. But thankfully there is a way to group different applications together in Stage Manager, and this is what Apple calls spaces. So essentially you'll have one app open already, and you'll merely drag an app out from the recent apps menu to join it, and this is a space. So if you click on another app within the recent apps menu, you'll see that both of those windows are minimized and joined together as one singular space. But a space isn't just limited to 2 applications, so if I want, I can drag a third application window out, and then that becomes a 3 app space. And as far as I can tell, there doesn't seem to be any feasible limit to the amount of windows you can have within one space. There will just be a limit as far as how many icons you'll see at a time within the recent apps menu. And as I mentioned earlier, in Stage Manager mode, everything on your desktop will disappear, but if you want to access that, all you have to do is click on the desktop behind the application and all that stuff will reappear. And another nice touch, just like other aspects of macOS, is that you have updates happening with your apps in real time. So as you can see, the App Store window that we've got open, we can see the little video preview playing at the top of it, even while the application is minimized. And this applies to things like messages and iMessage and FaceTime calls. So that's pretty much about it as far as what you need to know with Stage Manager. FaceTime now allows you to seamlessly switch your calls from device to device using a new feature called handoffs. So as you can see, I started a FaceTime call via a link on my iPhone, and as soon as that happens, I'll get the ability to join it on my Mac. And not only will you see that option within the FaceTime application itself, but you should be getting a push notification giving you the option to join that call on your Mac. And the collaboration feature works through FaceTime as well. So if you're in an application like Safari with an active collaboration going, like a shared group tab, there's an option for you to start a message, a audio call, or a FaceTime call through that collaboration application. Live captions is a new system-wide feature being added to macOS Ventura, and that includes FaceTime as well. So we'll get into how live captions actually looks within macOS a little bit later, but this is within the FaceTime preferences, just showing you that you're able to do within FaceTime as well. Continuity camera is the new way to use your iPhone as a webcam on your MacBook or any Mac running macOS Ventura. And this process is done completely wirelessly, so you don't even need to have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth enabled on your iPhone. You simply just need to have Wi-Fi enabled on your Mac, and you can access this feature. And given that this feature is serving as a replacement for the built-in webcam, this feature pretty much works with every application that utilizes your camera, so Photo Booth, FaceTime, Zoom, Google Hangouts, Skype, you name it. But when using an app like Photo Booth or FaceTime, you'll switch to this feature by going to the camera tab in the menu bar. You click on your iPhone and it'll immediately transfer over to your iPhone without having to unlock it or anything like that. And besides hearing an audible chime letting you know that your iPhone is now connected to your Mac, you'll see this page on your iPhone. And if you try to swipe up and go home and operate your iPhone as normal, you'll notice that it pauses on the Mac side of things. And that's simply because you can't operate your iPhone and use this feature simultaneously, at least not yet. And just as you can now use your iPhone as a webcam, that includes the iPhone's microphone as well. So when connected to your Mac with your iPhone, you'll have the option to use your iPhone's microphone as opposed to the built-in microphone or anything else you've got connected. But probably the coolest aspect of Continuity Camera are these 4 features that we're going to get into right now. First up is Portrait Mode, and this works basically just as Portrait Mode does in the stock camera app for the iPhone and every other Apple product that features Portrait Mode, just giving you a slight blur in the background and using that machine learning to make a nice smooth edge around the subject. Next, we've got Studio Light, which is a feature first introduced for the iPhone, and it basically artificially dims the background while illuminating the subject or your face. And just in case you're unfamiliar, Center Stage is a feature that takes advantage of the ultra-wide angle camera on the iPhone to adjust the frame as you move within it. So as you see me move within the frame, you'll see the frame start to move around a little bit. Probably one of the most talked about features when it comes to continuity camera is a new feature called Desk View. So as you'll see, I've kind of got a DIY rigged setup here, but the way that's supposed to work is that Apple's going to release official accessories that will allow you to mount your iPhone in webcam fashion on top of a MacBook like you see here, or on top of a monitor. But once mounted on top of your Mac, Desk View will take that ultra wide angle lens on the iPhone, kind of distort the image a bit, and give you a sort of top-down view of your desk or whatever is in front of you, hence the name Desk View. And currently we don't have access to Desk View in any video conferencing applications like FaceTime, Zoom, Skype, etc. But we are able to access Desk View within its own individual application. So when you enable Desk View, a separate window is always going to pop up. And there's always going to be a slider at the bottom that will allow you to adjust the digital zoom of your Desk View. And like I mentioned earlier, when bringing something or an object into frame, you can tell that there's definitely a bit of distortion going on in the image. It's not a completely perfect image compared to just taking a normal picture, but I think that's just what the iPhone has to do, given the fact that it's not even physically pointing down towards your desk. It's completely facing you. The idea is that you could have two images at once, one image facing you and the other one on your Desk View. At least that's what Apple demoed at WWDC. But that's more or less all you need to know with continuity camera. Probably one of the most impressive features of macOS 13. A new update to the Game Center now allows you to see your friends' play activities and achievements all in one place in the slightly redesigned Game Center dashboard, and you've now also got share play support for games within the Game Center that support multiplayer. Now, the Settings app has gotten probably its biggest design overhaul in well over a decade. It's now been a lot more iOS-ified, and in my opinion, the organization has gotten a bit better. Now with the sidebar, it makes it a lot easier to move through different panes and menus without having to isolate yourself within one specific menu. So like in the past, if you wanted to access your Wi-Fi settings, you wouldn't be able to see any of your other options on the side with this sidebar. Now you're able to do so. And you've now got new categorizations for certain settings menus, such as appearance, the control center, and the desktop. None of these were options before, but they are now. But outside of having a slightly more powerful search tool, the System Settings app has mostly been updated to aesthetically match the appearance of the rest of the operating system in recent years. There aren't necessarily a whole bunch of new options within the System Settings app itself, but everything is mostly arranged and organized differently. A new privacy setting for the Photos app now automatically locks the hidden and recently deleted albums by default, and you can unlock them using your login password or Touch ID. A bunch of new features have been added to the accessibility menu, and the first of which is background sounds for Mac. So you can now go into the audio settings in the accessibility menu and click on something called background sounds. And so you'll be able to choose between 6 different sounds that you can just have playing on your Mac speakers in the background to help distract you or relax you or calm you down. You've got 6 different choices to choose from. You've got balance noise, bright noise, dark noise, ocean sounds, rain sounds, and water stream sounds. And as I briefly mentioned when talking about the FaceTime features, you've now got live captions as a universal feature within macOS. So within the accessibility menu, once you enable that, you'll be able to get automatic transcriptions for any media that's being played within the computer, whether that be a FaceTime call like I mentioned earlier, or a YouTube video. And as you can see, you've got settings to change the appearance of live captions within macOS, but this is how it's going to look by default. And as far as the accuracy, it's definitely not 100%, but I'd say it's definitely more helpful than not having this feature at all. A new voice control feature is now being able to say hang up during a call, and it will automatically hang up the call for you, like you can see here. At long last, we finally have a proper clock application for macOS, and as far as functionality, it pretty much does everything that you're able to do within iPadOS and iOS. So you can do the world clock, you can add alarms, utilize the stopwatch, or add timers. And of course, you've got the Siri integration for clock-related things as well, like I showed off earlier when showing off the new Spotlight features. But that's more or less it as far as the clock application for Mac. I'm just glad we finally got it. Some new updates to Dictation now allow you to automatically punctuate whatever you're saying. So what I'm typing right now is me typing on the keyboard, and then I'm going to hit the Dictation button, and then everything I say here will be automatically punctuated. And as you can see, there are emojis popping up, and that's because Dictation now supports emojis. So you can say things like smiley face emoji or crying face emoji, and you should get the correct emoji for that. Focus, an already comprehensive feature, has gotten even more comprehensive with a handful of new features being added with macOS Ventura and iPad and iOS 16. The first of which being focus filters, which allows you to set boundaries within Apple apps like Calendar, Mail, Messages, and Safari to draw boundaries for each focus you enable. For example, you can choose a set of tab groups to show up in Safari while using a work focus, or hide specific messages within iMessage when using a personal focus. You've now also got focus schedules, which allows you to automatically turn on a focus based on you being at a certain location, or it being a certain time of the day, or you opening up a certain application. So as you can see here, I've got my focus schedule to turn on at midnight. And I've also got a specific address that whenever I'm at this place, Do Not Disturb will automatically be enabled. And you can also see Do Not Disturb will be enabled when I've got this Bose Sleep app opened up on my phone. You've now also got allow and silence lists for your different focus modes. So you can now choose different people and or applications that you can either allow to give you notifications or silent during a certain focus mode so that you're not notified by those people. The Apple Home app has gotten a brand new redesign that's universal across all the new software this year, and it makes it a lot easier to navigate, organize, view, and control all of your Apple HomeKit compatible accessories. You've now got a whole house view, which allows you to see your entire home at a glance with the redesigned Home tab, and you've also now got categories for different products, so you can categorize your products between lights, climate control, security, speakers, TV, and so on. If you've got cameras, you've now got the ability to see up to 9 camera views, all displayed front and center on the Home tab, and you've now got a tile design for all of your accessories so that they're a lot more visually recognizable through their shape and their color. All the new keyboard features coming to macOS Ventura are pretty much language related. So that firstly includes a few new inputs for different languages. You've now got new languages for autocorrect, 3 to be exact, and you've now got 19 new languages for emoji search, as well as new languages for keyboard layouts. Live Text now has video support within macOS Ventura and iPad and iOS 16. So if you go to the Photos app or preview and click on a video that has identifiable text within it, you can pause within that frame and then highlight the text to either translate it if it's foreign or copy the text entirely, and that's a very useful feature to have. 2 new features coming to Apple Maps. Firstly, allows you to do multi-stop routing, so you can plan a driving route with multiple stops on your Mac and it'll automatically sync to your iPhone when you're actually ready to make that trip. And you're now also able to see how much a journey will cost if you have to take public transit that requires a certain fee. There's been a few new changes to the Memoji menu, starting with the addition of 6 new expressive poses, as well as the ability to add those as well as the ability to make those poses a contact sticker. So now all Memoji stickers can be used as contact pictures. There are also 17 new and updated hairstyles, so a bunch of new curly hairstyles, box braids, boxer braids, things like that. And you've also got a new headwear edition, so you can now have a bonnet on your Memoji if you'd like. In addition to that, you've got more options for your nose when customizing your Memoji, as well as the option of having more neutral lip colors. There's been some updates to the Apple News app, but probably the biggest update is the new My Sports menu, which allows you to follow your favorite teams, leagues, and athletes within Apple News, and you can customize your feed to watch highlights, get scores, view the schedules for upcoming games, and the current standings of the teams that you're following. The homepage has also been revamped to give you more in-depth coverage from your local city, as well as giving you more local news in general. And you've now also got a Favorites tab, which allows you to quickly access the channels and topics that you care about the most. The Apple Notes app has gotten updated with a few new useful features, the first of which being enhanced smart folders. You can now automatically organize notes in a smart folder based on these new hashtag filters. And when you want to edit a smart folder, you can create rules for organized things based on the date it was created, the date it was modified, the shared mentions, checklists, attachments, certain folders, quick notes, pin notes, and lock notes. You can now also lock and encrypt your notes with your login password for your Mac. So if you right click on a note, you'll get the option to use your login password for it. You can also use Touch ID if you want to unlock it that way. And of course, you've got collaboration integration with the Notes app as well. So if you hit the share icon, you'll get an option to collaborate via a link or through messages. One of the first new features coming to the Photos app in macOS Ventura is duplicate detection. So this will basically be a sidebar item that holds all of the duplicate photos that it can detect within your library. And then you can go in and delete said photos if you'd like. And like I mentioned earlier, you can now lock the hidden and recently deleted albums within the Photos app and unlock them via your password or Touch ID. And within the People photo album, you now have the ability to sort that album alphabetically. Another new photo feature is now being able to copy and paste edits between different photos. So as you can see here, I've got an edit I've made of this GT3 RS. I can now go into the image tab and hit an option that says copy edits. And then I can select one photo or as many as I'd like, go back to the image menu and then hit paste edits, and then it will simultaneously paste all of those edits across all the photos that I selected. And that's a very useful feature. As you can see here on this splash screen, there's been a handful of new features added to the Reminders app. So if you go up to the File menu, you can access a certain list and pin it so it's easier for you to access later. You've now got a completed smart list, which allows you to view all of your completed reminders in one place and have all the details like the time of completion and where you were when you completed it. Another new major feature is templates, which allows you to save a list as a template, which allows you to reuse it for routines and packing lists and future events. And not only can you have templates for yourself, but you can create and publish links to share a template with others, or download templates that other people have made. You've also got the option to choose whether you filter for any or all of the criteria within a certain custom smart list or within the tag browser. Now within macOS Ventura, whenever you connect Apple AirPods or AirPods Pro or a pair of AirPods Max headphones, you'll get a bespoke menu within the system settings that gives you all of the fine-tuned controls that you would have within iOS or iPadOS. So that includes button controls for AirPods Max if you have them, and anything that's applicable to your specific pair of AirPods. And as you can see, Siri has gotten a slight redesign as far as the UI is concerned. Nothing really new in terms of functionality, but as you can see, the UI is a lot more compact. Updates to macOS 13 system-wide translation add support for Turkish, Thai, Vietnamese, Polish, Indonesian, and Dutch. One of my favorite new software features from Apple this year in general is Visual Lookup, and it's here in macOS Ventura as well. And so from certain apps like the Photos app or Safari, you can now lift subjects from their background just using artificial intelligence. So as you can see here, I right click on this car and it'll give me an option to copy the subject. And then when I want to paste the subject, I hit paste and it'll just show the car with no background behind it. Unfortunately, it couldn't detect the wing, but I think that's all right in this case. And this doesn't only work for cars, it works for people, or in a lot of cases, just random objects. It all just depends on the photo itself and whether whatever you're trying to lift from the background is the primary subject within the photo. If you've got a photo with 7 people in it without anyone in the particular middle part of the photo, it's going to be hard to detect a subject to lift from the background. But for things like cars that are center stage in the photo, it's super easy to detect the subject that way. And last but not least, we've got the weather application, another long-awaited addition to macOS. And just like the clock application, the weather app more or less operates in the same way that it does on iOS and iPadOS. So you've got access to all the same functions. You're going to get notifications for severe weather. You're able to click on all these different modules and get all the specific information like the air quality, the wind speed, things like that. And you've also got the weather map, which gives you a visual idea of the precipitation, air quality, and temperature within specific areas in map form. But that's more or less it as far as new features in macOS Ventura. We're only on beta 4 at this point, but we should be getting the full release later this fall. And so far, I think all of the major features and changes that have been added are pretty useful, and I don't think there's anything that's super critical that's missing from this update in my opinion. But let us know your thoughts on the macOS Ventura beta in the comments below. Have you installed it for yourself? Are you a fan of any of the new features? Let us know in the comment section down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for future content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next 9 to 5 Mac on YouTube is sponsored by Mac Stadium. If you're an enterprise user, developer, or Apple software enthusiast, you may be aware of Mac Stadium, which has been a leading innovator in the enterprise sector for a long time. Mac Stadium offers an assortment of cloud-based software solutions for your Mac-oriented business. Firstly, you've got Mac Stadium's Orca, which is the only virtualization layer available for Mac build infrastructure based on Docker and Kubernetes technology. It's one of the best solutions for orchestrating Mac OS in a cloud environment. You've also got Virtual Command, which enables high-performance desktop access to cloud-based Mac OS resources through a browser on any device. I also thought I'd mention that Mac Studio is coming to Mac Stadium, so anyone looking to use a cloud-hosted Mac Studio for development will be in luck very soon. Be sure to check out the link in the description below to check out Mac Stadium, and a big thanks to Mac Stadium for sponsoring 9 to 5 Mac on YouTube.